pulled a stump right up from the ground, moving us far north to another country, leaving behind the family universe of uncles, aunts, and cousins. They did it for opportunity, for sure, and to escape the yoke that families often are. Then, work undone, it seems, our nuclear family, 3 boys, 2 parents, split again, spread right across the northern hemisphere of North America. When I go to others' family gatherings, I circle the edges like Pluto, out there on the very edge of the solar system. I can't help but feel the gravitational attraction, the sense that I am missing something integral. Now I find myself on an airplane, heading south to a country I was born in but have no claim to, in search of a relative tantalizingly close, if in no other way than by his words. And words? I know that family well. My father, Peter John Wangersky, had told me for years that I should read my great-great-grandfather William Castle Dodge's Gold Rush diary. Dad had taken the time to not just read the diary, but to correct a decades-old typed version and make a new copy. He'd made that effort, though Dodge was my mother's great-grandfather, not his own. Perhaps like me, my father, an only child whose parents had emigrated from a small village that Stalin soon razed, had the desire to find roots in familial connection, no matter how tenuous. To track backwards through that most constant of human pursuits, picking up the path of those who've moved on, en route to better opportunities. Dad wanted me to find a way for others to read it, but I didn't start until after he died. That is how regrets are made. Dodge was only 22. Born in New York, he had gone to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, to study law. Halting his studies midstream, he teamed up with a group of other young men who named themselves the New York Company to go west in the 1849 gold rush. Dodge would later write that there were 9 members of the company, but he doesn't ever identify them completely, using primarily surnames or initials for surnames. The 1849 gold rush brought thousands of eager neophyte gold miners like Dodge and his partners onto the California Trail. In late 1848, when word spread to the eastern states of a gold strike at Sutter's Mill in Coloma, California, thousands of people made plans to head west as soon as the weather broke in the spring. In 1849 alone, some 35,000 people set out to find their fortunes in the goldfields, most traveling overland from the eastern states. William Castle Dodge was just one of them. Many found hardship, disease, and poverty. They died of cholera, of typhoid fever, of drowning, of exposure, of accidental and intentional gunshot wounds. Some went mad on the journey. Many returned with no fortunes, but with lingering health issues that would follow them for the rest of their lives. They started with heavily laden wagons, but the difficult trip killed livestock and pack animals, saw expensive provisions and equipment discarded and scattered for hundreds of miles along the route, and reduced many hopeful miners to packing on foot, and later desperate for whatever food and other materials they could scavenge. Much of the route between Missouri and California was unmapped wilderness. Miners and settlers, as well as army units protecting these American emigrants from the indigenous inhabitants, traveled along different portions of the California Trail. The Army was exploring and mapping this new territory as they went, but the only established marking points in 1849 were natural features and the occasional frontier fort. There were less than 5 of those forts, some barely more than trappers' stockades, for the entire 3,000-mile trail. Their appearance was keenly anticipated because they were often the only solid evidence that travelers were on the right path. Some of the travelers were part of guided parties. Most were not, trusting directions as simple as word of mouth or tattered guidebooks that other settlers wrote out and shared or sold. The Great Migration West built the state of California, but it also destroyed peace with the Native American peoples and set the stage for the Indian Wars, as settlers heading west killed game, strayed from agreed-upon routes of travel, and introduced disease that swept through the indigenous populations. Some, especially among the first miners, and certainly among those who sold supplies, made fortunes in the goldfields. A lucky miner could make a year's wages in mere days. Most did not.